Have you ever had a part of you, a separate self, or, I'm going to start using this terminology for all my people that don't know. I've been studying under the Ascended Master teachings through Kim Michael's dispensation. You can look up his YouTube channel and his websites, his landing page for all of his websites, where he basically gives messages from the Ascended Masters, is on his website, kimmichaels.info. And so if you familiarize yourself with that material, you might better understand the terminology that I will be speaking about moving forward, in regards to my experience on my growth and development on this channel moving forward. It's not that much different than some, psychological terminologies like parts work, IFS and stuff. But this is, I use the term separate selves because that's what the Ascended Masters use, and it just makes more sense to identify something as a thing that you created to cope with the trauma that you experienced in this lifetime and many other lifetimes, because the likelihood that you are a new life stream, especially watching my channel and content, is highly unlikely, but anything can happen. So I've just been, as y'all know, I made the video unlisted because, fear of being perceived a certain way, from a different self, I'm sure. I've been navigating this really interesting interpersonal dynamic of a previous relationship, and navigating the complexities of why it has caused so much upheaval and imbalance in my life in a lot of ways. And also so much balance, in terms of like the growth and development and eradicating a lot of warlike consciousness out of my being, which kind of is what prompted me to make this whole video to begin with, which was this question around why. Like what part, what self is trying to do its best to outsmart me and prevail in its, extend its life, because it knows time is up in terms of its hold on me. And I've noticed these loops and patterns and cycles that I keep playing out in this relationship, going back and reacting in a certain way and going back and then reacting a certain way to kind of get the same results. And it seems to be, for those that aren't aware, I experienced a lot of abuse as a child, in a myriad of ways. And it's not to, cause any drama or pity, but it's just so you can have some context of what selves I'm working with here in the framework of my consciousness of what I am growing out of. Because I truly believe that the world is a reflection, like the outside world is a reflection. And so the state of the world that we see, we have to do our own inner work to heal that. So if we notice, there's a lot of war and conflict, and with the Hamas Israel stuff that I don't keep track with, I will be honest, but it's in the field, right? And we are very aware of the atrocities that are happening, and I can't help but look at my own life, because the reason why I don't focus on that is because I'm well aware of my own inner war, an inner war machine of a separate self that wants to continue to perpetuate war consciousness. And so my latest, like, pondering of this self, there's probably several that have been a part of this whole orchestration, or really it could come and boil down and reduced into one, which has a lot to do with my abandonment wound or anxiety wound, or trying to get a specific outcome. But it's really to a situation, and I think not only are there like separate selves that we're dealing with inside of ourselves, inside of our being, there are also like entities, demons, and forces beyond our control that kind of tease out certain frequencies to feed off of us. There's a sex demon like entity, and alcoholism deity, party lifestyle, drug lifestyle, and there's the conflict, like the nagging conflict demon, basically, that you can have be attached and hooked onto you with your partner. They talk about this in the Ascended Masters, AscendedMasterAnswers.com webpage. You type in any topic on the search bar, and you'd be surprised what you could find. I type in relationships a lot. I type in sex a lot because that seems to be a binding force. It doesn't seem to be. It is a binding force, and not done well, it can really just, those hooks can just hook you in, because for me, I have that I have had this self that will go to any lengths, almost, it seems, from the past to get that love or a validation from outside of myself. So it's this horizontal way of getting energy versus the vertical way of going straight to source for your energy, And there's a lot of millions and billions, I'm sure, of people that go the horizontal way because of how fucked up our world is, in a lot of ways. And so this is when I could use my tripod, but I'm not going to. So anywho, I feel like I could talk and talk and talk and talk, and maybe I'll just make a series, because it seems like that would be the most effective way. But let's just stay on track, because I can really go all different ways. My psyche can just like pew, 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 pew. So so I noticed this theme around my own process with this particular relationship and this person. There would be almost this uncontrollable need to other the other, like this dualistic mentality takeover. And I would watch myself go from one state of being away from this person, and then when I'm with this person, it's like all the demons come in, and the deities, the forces come in that are provoking and poking at the aura, at my psyche, and provoking all these thoughts and feelings that I didn't have before I came in there. Very clear in myself, and perhaps, so I want to keep it on track as much as I can, because there's so many ways I can go, so many ways I could take that, because there's been so much rich material from this experience to provoke and to expose all of these selves, and to expose all of these demons that have had like hooked into me, to provoke certain behaviors that just are so bizarre. Like, where does this come from, you know? And so, yeah, I would notice this desire to want to pick apart certain things, or to have a certain outcome happen, or to instigate war between me and this other person. And the same would happen to him, because it was like this I've noticed when I look back, it's like this force beyond our control, because it's an addiction. It's like this thing is feeding off of the addiction to that, whether it's sex, conflict, in our case, you know, and or to fill the hole, which is the separate self, and needing to have a certain outcome replay itself over and over again to fortify its life in me, you know, because it can't exist if I no longer subscribe to the belief that it's trying to feed me in order for it to live. You know, the only way that these selves can prevail and live inside of us is through our unconscious behaviors and through us being unconscious. And so as we raise our consciousness, so does the planet. And then we start to realize, like, warfare and these behaviors and tendencies are actually not useful. Not only are they not useful, we can know that and still enact them, but that there's another way. Because you can know something, you can know better, but I don't think you really can unless to know better is to do better. So you can grasp that it doesn't make sense to do something, but if you're still acting it out because of something that is kind of overtaken you, a force that seems like beyond your control in the moment, then what? So I'm really glad to be talking about this and to open up these conversations, because this is kind of like something that's really been important to me. And I haven't been active on my YouTube channel because I've been in the drama of the abusive relationship that I've been a part of, which is not the sum total of the experience. So that's why I said it the way that I did. I've been in the drama of, like, letting myself be consumed by these parts that really, it seems to all stem from childhood, but it could also be from different lifetimes. I can't deny that, especially whenever you consider, and if you don't already, like, subscribe to that kind of, I mean, I think the people who watch me are very woo-woo, as society would subscribe us to be. So I don't feel like I need to explain myself when I say, you know, different lifetimes. But even if you don't subscribe to that yet, you know, maybe you're in the camp of ancestral down lineage trauma, which is different lifetimes from your ancestors imbuing in your own consciousness and DNA. And if you want to subscribe to that, that's way more, you could have more validity around that, because that is proven. I mean, epigenetics, it's proven at this point. So whichever way you want to dip in, it's all saying the same thing, that we are not just ourselves. We are not just, like, I am not just living out as the singular consciousness of Summer. There's all these different factors at play, the separate selves, the different stories from different lifetimes, down lineage trauma, whatever it is. So this is why it's never been more important. Well, it's always been important, but it's never been more of a ripe time to do your spiritual work and to do your psychological work. So when I say spiritual work at this point, I mean psychological as well. It's absolutely intertwined, because your self-work is the key and will always be the key to raising everyone up. You know, if you tend to be externally motivated, great. This can be your ticket, because your self-work is inevitably, like, what's going to what's going to be the thing that brings you ultimate relief, but also changes the world around you. And for all of us, like, it's never been more important. And, you know, so I have faith and hope that me making this video, me following what actually motivates me instead of being sucked in by forces that literally want to kill me or just feed off of me to the point where I have no life force, which has been my experience for the last, off and on, the last several, it's been off and on. It's not been the sum total of my experience, but it's been off and on for a really long time, to the point where I'm just like, damn, this is what it is to be an addict. And we all have our own addictions to things. And it's just been so enlightening to see, left to these selves and to these entities that are feeding off of me in my unconscious behaviors, in my insecure behaviors, and all these different selves when I am not in my I am presence, you know. Wow, look what happens. And I get jerked, and I believe the jerk, and I go into the jerk, and then all of a sudden I'm operating through something that's not really me, but what I created. So I'm giving the thing that I created more power than like my soul. And this is like the hallmark of what I think meditation tries to teach us, and all these spiritual teachers and texts try to teach us, like the real ones, you know, is to call forth the highest light, you know, with these invocations and decrees through the ascended masters that we are extensions of, by the way, to call forth the highest light, to have that light beaming down and imbuing and clearing out the garbage, and clearing out and cutting Archangel Michael and Estrella and Saint Germain, cutting and transmuting and transforming the attachments and the selves that we are seemingly possessed by in these moments, and giving it spaciousness to where it actually no longer has anything in you. Like the prince of this world come, and it has nothing in me. Like that's the ultimate. That's how you get free. That all these things from the past is how that used to really get you. Like me being so triggered by this relationship and this person and othering them. It's just like at some point, and it's even like right now I can feel it. It just has nothing. It just has less in me because I see what's real. And I've already committed myself to this work for the last 10 or so years that I've become conscious of what the spiritual path is at 18 something. I think it was 18. Yeah. So, thank you for listening, and I'm really excited to talk more about this and go into depth about, you know, what all this means, and what it means for me, and how it's applicable always to you. Because why else would you be watching it, especially up until now? So I hope you have a good day. I'm gonna go to my job and do my job, and I can't wait to talk more about what I'm doing and how I can serve and be a force, be myself, and have that be a worthwhile asset to be connected to with my gifts and abilities and talents to share with you in collaboration for the betterment of all of us, the planet, the world, the cosmos, and for our ascension, all the things. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.